required to, you want to do the right things for the right reasons. So I will say thank you in advance for making the positive decisions on behalf of the students and staff for this school division. And I'll be quiet now.
It looks like he's going.
This is my birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
Thank you.
I think one of the biggest frustrations of it for me is waiting to find out something from the state so our staff can make final plans. If we can get to that point, it'd be much less stress on staff.
Mm-hmm.
Are we on now? I'm Sam Burton, this is Pittsylvania County School Board meeting, joined in the process. We had some technical difficulties. I appreciate those that are out there and watching. I hope you can hear us a little better tonight. But we've just started for about 10 minutes ago, so we're going to continue on. Ms. Work, I saw, there you go. You gonna tell us about the budget?
Good evening. Right now, I'm going to talk to you about health insurance.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. We will talk about that later. So I do get to share some good news with you tonight. And I will tell you ahead of time, it is not budget news, okay? We just last week renewed with Anthem, the Health Insurance Committee, which is Pittsylvania County Schools and the county. We have a joint committee. We met with Anthem. We have renewed with them for fiscal year 2021. And the good news is we are receiving a 3.5% decrease in our premiums. So that is wonderful news to share. Our claims experience was down. I looked back in 17-18, our claims were about $11.2 million. And for the 19-20, for the look back period for this renewal for this year, we were at $10,020,000. So our employees are doing a great job, using the insurance appropriately in network and not going to emergency rooms. Anthem has really worked with our employees, and if someone was using it, a little inappropriately, we had them reach out, just with some education on how best to use the plan, because we are self-insured, and whatever we do, we're paying the claims ourselves. And just to tell you how good that 3.5% decrease is, trend for this year, medical trend, your medical cost is 7.5% increase, and drug cost or pharmacy is a 9% increase. So that's what most fully insured plans are looking at for this year. And we were able to come in with a decrease. We didn't really make any changes to our plans for the upcoming year. The only changes that were made were legislative changes. And they're in the letter that's in your packet. And they will be shared, with our staff. But those changes are made in all plans. That was outside of that wasn't our choice. We had to do those. I did want to mention that during this time, we did amend our plan to cover COVID-19 expenses as a self-insured plan. It was, up to us to make that adjustment, and we did do that. So those expenditures, if needed, would be covered, outside of deductibles. You wouldn't have to meet your deductible to have your medical expenses, like testing, would be covered by our health plan. So we did make that change. As far as the savings, they will all be passed on to employees. We will leave our employer share the same, which is $6,750 per year per employee. And the savings for our employees, we do pay our premiums over 10 months. So it's a 10-month savings, monthly savings. It ranges from $25 up to $91. And that depends on which of the 3 plans you have and which type of coverage. If it's employee only, employee spouse, employee child, or family. So, are we excited?
Better go out of the way.
That's the only good news that I'm gonna have for you tonight, but,
Somebody out there get excited.
yes, I'm excited too. So I will tell you this, it's been a long time since we've had this look before. But our high deductible health plan, which of course is our cheaper plan, for employee only for next year, the employee only cost is gonna be $7.30 a month. right now we're paying $32.82 a month for that particular plan. So I remember one time we paid $1.45 a month, because Mr. Johnson said we should always at least have to pay $1. So I have followed his lead in that, so, but do what?
You tell me age now.
Well, he's gone and I'm still here, so I'm telling his age. But anyway, that is our news for tonight on health insurance. Dental, we did go back to the table on dental because obviously the last 2 months we've had no claims. And so we wanna kind of see what that looks like and see what type of renewal we have, and we'll have that information for you in June. But we expect that to be a good renewal as well.
Okay,
Any questions?
thank you for the good news.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Mr. Mayhew.
You need Mr. Burton, members of the board.
The next several speakers, for those that might, will give us updates on the department program, both been going through this stuff.
Good evening, Mr. Burton, members of the school board, Dr. Jones. Just want to give you some updates relative to the administration department, and that would include finance, human resources, school nutrition. So the finance piece, I think the good news is already provided Ms. Worley. We are very elated by the rates. They're very good. I will certainly say that, we worked very hard on this. We've actually contracted with some folks to help us with our, get our rates that gives the most benefit to our employees and families. I appreciate that. Been good news. We do expect some reduced state funding due to the impact of COVID-19, as you know that. I won't get into all this matters as well as provide an amended budget in the business section, so that will come. Okay. School nutrition update. I just wanted to say that I know you have a desk report relative to the meals that we've been distributing, but I think I want to say that the school nutrition program has performed a tremendous job since we closed school. Since that closure, they have distributed 13,200 meals each week from the 4 county middle schools and the 5 outlying elementary schools. I think that's a tremendous job. They've done so every Wednesday since March 18th, and that program offers breakfast and lunch meals for multiple days that are free of charge to PCS families. As we progress with the summer, the school nutrition program will continue to prepare and distribute meals for an additional 5 weeks from May 27th through June 24th as a service to our families. So I would like to take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge and commend Mrs. Kara Scott. She's our supervisor for school nutrition, and all of the school nutrition staff. They've done an outstanding job with this. Recently on May 1st, we normally would celebrate School Lunch Hero Day. We weren't able to do that, but I certainly think that the staff and everyone that's worked in that department are certainly heroes and done an outstanding job to help PCS families. So they've done an outstanding job, and we're very proud of them for all the work that they've done. For human resources, we are just want to bring you some updates relative to what's kind of going on with COVID-19 and things that impact. Dr. Jones will provide more information to you as well. Contracted employees are being paid for the remainder of the school year, so I think we want to make sure you're aware of that. The only we do have some groups that are not, that includes substitute tutors, but everyone on the contract is being paid. Division operations have been adjusted since the school closed on March 16th. We've included having employees work remotely and implementing staggered work schedules. We are currently closed to visitors. Wellness screening procedures have been developed for reentry of employees to work each day. These protocols were developed by the Support Service Department. I'm sure Ms. Hayman will speak more on this, which specifically the school nurse coordinators did include a screening questionnaire and a temperature check of all employees when they begin their work day at the respective sites. These guidelines are compliant with CDC and Virginia Health Department guidelines, and they are there to promote the safety and well-being of employees. Beginning this week, all administrators, custodians, maintenance staff, IT staff, bus mechanics, and school nurses return to their work sites. It is anticipated that other 12-month administrative staff will report next week. We will continue to follow these branch guidelines and make adjustments as the information is received. Any questions about that?
I have a question. Are we going to do summer hours this year?
I think the plan is, yes, we're going to do that, correct?
So you know when you're going to start that?
First full week in May.
June.
June.
Any reason why not before then, or just, that would have been when you would hang up?
The reason is that next week, we would have been ending school. we've got a lot of things that we need to get accomplished, and we have that staff here to do that, to be sure that we complete the school year, get things back in from kids, distribute things to students. It's a lot we have to do.
Just a couple more items of vacancies and employment. We are currently continuing to fill our vacancies. We're very pleased to have filled most of our positions, specifically teacher positions. I am very excited to announce that of the positions that we have filled, teachers, 16 of these individuals did come to our PCS job fair on March 7th. I think that's a good outcome, an indicator that these folks wanted to come to us. With the anticipated reduced funds, we are reviewing any new vacancies. We're referring to resignations or retirements and the need to fill these positions. And we're basing this determination by reviewing the enrollment needs of the school or the program and being compliant with the standard quality or SOP. So we're reviewing each one of those when they come up. And you have the vacancies provided already to you. I want to provide you a couple more things and then take any questions if you have them. I want to speak to you about contracts, okay? We are preparing for contracts for 2021. Following review of the 2021 amended budget and new business plan, Ms. Worrell will present to you with your approval of this. We will move forward with contracts. And due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Finance and Human Resource Department staff anticipate utilizing our current financial system called Keystone to generate electronic contracts for employees that will accept electronic signatures through the KeyNet employee portal. And we had initially, we're going to kind of work through this and then have this plan to do for next year. But we feel that based on our current circumstances, it's probably a good time to go ahead and move forward with this. The employees already have access to their pay stub, their 1095Cs, their travel reimbursement, W-2, deductions, total compensation statement through this portal now. So it's not something they're not familiar with. They are familiar with the system. So we felt this was a good time. This option here will allow the employee to view and electronically sign their 2021 contract. They can still print that contract if they wish. They can also, we also plan to do that next year, but I think it's a good time to do that. So we will update you on this process and we will move forward with this. We will also have the opportunity to work with groups. We don't understand certain groups will need assistance with this, and we'll have opportunities to come in if we need to, but we will plan to move forward with this once you approve the budget. Okay. The last thing I have is teacher and principal evaluation system review. So the State Department provides new guidelines in terms of the evaluation systems for principals and teachers. And we have provided the committee and provided that to you at, I think it was the last board meeting, I believe it might have been before, but we did get approval for those committee members, which are represented for teachers and principals and so forth throughout the school division. So those individuals received that, the guidance documents and so forth, and had the opportunity to review that. And we had a face-to-face meeting scheduled. Obviously, we weren't able to do a face-to-face meeting because of our current circumstances. So what we did get their feedback, and we have a scheduled virtual meeting scheduled tomorrow at 2 o'clock with teacher evaluation committee and 3 o'clock with principal. So once we get that, I think, cleared up and ironed out and have a finished product, we should anticipate have a product for you to review at the next board meeting for the teacher and principal evaluation system. That's all I have at this time. Are there any questions that I can address?
You covered nutrition, and I just wanted to ask, I had asked Dr. Davis if you are able to speak briefly, just for the sake of those who have the questions, regarding how we're able to provide students with meals now versus not being able to do that free of charge during the school year. And I think it's just good information for people to understand, and it doesn't have to be a very long answer to that.
Sure. Well, what we're doing now, we switched to, we're not doing the regular basically coming into the cafeteria and so forth. We're doing what we switched to basically summer feeding, because we were allowed to do about the relaxed guidelines, back when this first happened. So that's how we're able to offer the opportunity to have the meals for everyone. That's how that's done.
So a little bit different program.
That's correct. It's a totally different system. And we normally will do that in the summer. What we have done in the past is we have actually been the vendor, and Pittsylvania Community Action has actually been the entity that actually provides the meals. We gave the meals, provided them to them, they're the ones who distribute. And this year the plan is for us to actually do a summer feeding, but we'll continue doing what we're doing, for those months. So that's correct. That's how that will work.
Mr. Crawford, may I also share, that program is called the Seamless Summer Option, and it's a federal nutrition program that allows school divisions to operate while schools are closed. for the unanticipated closures. It also provides, under these guidelines, all students 18 years of age and younger are provided meals free of charge in communities where at least 50% of the students are eligible for free and reduced lunch, and all of our feeding sites are 50% or higher free and reduced lunch.
Thank you, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you go ahead, before the question will come up, what happened at the end of June?
Yes, sir. End of June, we're still looking at that. And our staff are looking at that with PCCA,
Right.
Pittsylvania Community Action, they've done our feeding program in the past in the summer. So we're working with them in collaboration as how that will happen in July.
Anticipation is they'll still be doing it until the start of July, et cetera.
Yes, sir. We're going to handle it through the end of June. Yes, sir. Then we'll work with them on how it takes place in July.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Betty?
Chairman Burton, school board members, Dr. Jones, good evening. The instructional department is working collaboratively with principals and teachers to create year-long learning modules and instructional units. These learning modules and instructional units will be available for use by students during summer school and the upcoming school year, although summer school plans are currently tentative and contingent upon guidance from the governor and state superintendent. All stakeholders meet weekly to maintain clear lines of communication, which includes the central office leadership team, instructional leadership team, grade level principals meetings, faculty meetings, and parent-student communications. In addition, division and content area meetings are conducted as needed. Guidelines have been established and communicated to assist all teachers in the creation of learning modules with instructional units for all courses to support academics during school closures, to help address instructional gaps and specific content not taught and assessed by incorporating learning modules into the existing school year schedule, and provide opportunities for instructional intervention and remediation. The learning module is designed to provide course materials in a logical, sequential order, guiding students through the content and assessments in order specified by the teachers. And each learning module will comprise at least 6 weeks of instructional units, and the instructional units will correlate with the Pittsylvania County Schools pacing guides and Virginia Department of Education curriculum frameworks, and include learning experiences to help students attain mastery of the standards of learning and learning competencies. Quality learning opportunities will be created that integrate essential knowledge and skills and the Virginia 5C skills: critical thinking, creative thinking, communication, collaboration, and citizenship. Educators will deepen learning by focusing on these essential knowledge that the students can engage in while at home. The school division will continue to provide equitable support for all students and families, recognizing that some families do not have access to the same resources and supports. Educators will utilize the VDOE Virginia Learns Anywhere website link that I provided for you, and Virtual Virginia resources for additional guidance and support. Teachers will receive up to 90 recertification points for the development of these year-long modules. They may work individually, but they're encouraged to work collaboratively in content area and their grade level teams. Teachers will receive the 90 recertification points upon completion, and while the completion deadline is August 1st, there will be ongoing opportunities throughout the school year to add instructional materials to these existing learning modules. Any questions?
Okay, when do we need, how far down the road can we get before we have a go or no go for summer school? I mean, when is the drop dead date that, you know, if we get to, we plan, you said it's tentative. At what point is it, we're gonna have to know we can't do it, or we're gonna do it, or you can't decide in August whether you're gonna have summer school, obviously, so.
Right.
Do we know what that is or what we're looking
To
like?
receive some guidance soon, but we've also talked about potentially the possibility of offering virtual classes to support students, especially the high school level, who may need courses to, get their 70% to pass. So that could be a possibility, but right now we are waiting to hear the guidance from, the governor, which would then filter down to the state superintendent.
But when would summer school normally have started? Right after graduation, right? I mean, very soon after, right? So
Yes,
first of
sir.
June at latest, right? So we would, 2.5 weeks away, 3 weeks away from that?
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Jones has provided several options to consider. One option would be the end of June, and then other options into July, or middle toward the end. But of course, the last week we have teachers who start coming back, so all of it is contingent for those reasons.
I've got two more parts to this question, if you'll bear with me.
Okay,
The next part is, if we were to do it online, do we have enough Chromebooks? Because I'm sure students don't have them. Would we have enough resources to be able to supply online for those? I mean, what would that, or do we even know? And that may be a Dr. Early question, but,
a lot of good questions. We would have to discuss
Okay.
that within our teams.
so then my final question concerning this is, do we have any idea whatsoever of the 9,000 students we have? How many of them do not have internet at home? Do we have any idea of that? A rough guess?
Dr. Early,
I
did
think Dr.
you
Early will speak to that.
send out a survey? Is that in your report?
It can be, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we don't have an accurate number, but there's gotta be some guesstimate. But if it's in yours, I'll wait.
I can tell you now, I sent out one survey, of families, and we had about 4,000 responses, so roughly 30% or so do not have internet access. Now, whether that's representative of all of the school division is anybody's guess. It's just of those that responded. We've got another survey where we surveyed teachers, and we had about, I want to say close to 700 respondents to that. I've not had a chance to dig through those data yet, but one of the questions is, how many of their students do they think have internet access? That might be a better judge. But once I have a chance to crunch those numbers, I'll let you know.
Well, I've had, and I talked to you earlier about
Yes.
people that do not have or cannot even get good access. If you get up in the Green Pond area, back up in Climax above there, it's almost non-existent
Yes.
in that part. So I don't know. I'm sure we have quite a few.
I'm gonna add to that since we tried to walk that up. One thing you said, good access. During this time, people that had good access do not have as good access right now
And I'm one of them.
because so many people are on. So that's another thing that we would be fighting difficult of, even in areas that have. The question I have, and I'll ask Superintendent later, and I'll ask you, since you're talking about instructional. I keep seeing things on Facebook and hearing from folks that some of our students are not doing as well about keeping up their work as they were when we first went out. Are we having some issues with that? To your knowledge?
Well, it hasn't come to my attention, but I do know from our department, the expectation is that teachers are providing weekly contact to all of our students.
But you don't know then whether we're having some areas where some of the students are doing well and keeping up their work. But since they're not grading, then maybe they're dropping off.
Well, I know they're reaching out and making sure that our students who need to obtain a passing score will have that score at the end of the school year. So I know it.
From our perspective, or anybody that happens to be listening, it is very important that they keep that up, especially for those that need to improve their grades to graduate. But even those that are coming back next year, it will tell when they come back, but they'll be struggling. So it is important for student parents to understand they do need to do some of that, do that work.
It is, because that continuity of instruction will be important for the next school year.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Doctor, you can just want to continue on.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. First of all, before I go on, I know, March 13, when the governor shut schools down, our teachers rallied behind, every resource that they had to provide the best instruction that they could for our students. And they did a phenomenal job. They are doing a phenomenal job. And I just don't want to let this board leave here without hearing that. They are working hard to provide continuity of instruction for all of our students, and they have so readily embraced technology, and I'm just so very, very proud of all of them. Some of the things that the operations department has done, I sort of lumped them into just a few categories, and I'll be glad to give you a few examples of each. We have assistant teachers to provide online learning opportunities and to prepare for the coming school year. Some of the things that we've done, we've loaned out laptops for teachers that did not have a device. We've loaned out some equipment. We have enabled Google Meet, which is the secure video conferencing system that Google has. We've also enabled other apps so that they can take advantage of all of the applications that are available to them to make the biggest impact with the students. We have assistant teachers in creation of learning materials and provided instruction on how to use Google Classroom and other applications. We have surveyed teachers twice now. Once was just a very brief one, which I was talking about earlier. The one that we just finished up Friday, that will hopefully help drive which way our professional development goes, so that those teachers that need a little help in learning how to use technology as they teach, that will get that. And one of the questions that was asked earlier about student engagement, one of those questions talks to that. So hopefully once I have a chance to crunch those numbers, I can give you some information about that. We have also provided ongoing communication with students, staff, parents, and the community. Through all of this, there's been a lot of communication that has gone out from the division, trying to maintain that contact with all of our stakeholders. Some of the things that we've done is we've opened up a Wi-Fi hotspot in each high school, so that if anyone did not have Wi-Fi at home, they could drive to high school parking lots and get access that way. We are working to, and hopefully we'll be getting better, working on our YouTube channel to broadcast our school board meetings. We have constantly put out information on our website. We have used our school messenger system with all the schools to provide texts, emails, phone calls, to let parents and students know what's going on. We have worked with the instructional department to provide the graduate merit materials that would have been distributed Thursday night. Those are being collected and collated and will be sent out to the schools for distribution to those that attain the graduate merit status. We have assisted staff in transitioning to work at home. Some of the things that we've done is we have worked with them on how to forward their phones to their home phones, so that while they were home, business could continue. If they got a call at their desk, it would ring at their home. So even though staff may have been working a staggered schedule, they were still productive and working at home safely. We are also preparing to open school because eventually this whole virus will be over and we can go back to school. We have started investigating the possibility of a one-to-one initiative. That's going to require a lot of planning, funding, and we are just in the beginning stages of that. We've already held some conversations with people and organizations on how to best do that. We are continuing to update the equipment at the school so that when students and staff come back, they will be ready to go. We have, wow, just done a lot of, work with the buildings, the custodians that are there. We have continued to work with the HVAC systems to shut down, areas of the school that aren't being used to reap those energy savings. We've begun summer cleaning of the buildings, including stripping and waxing of floors. We are continuing to operate the systems and testing, systems that's required by the health department, continuing with preventative maintenance, planning for the new school roof at Stony Mill, completing the design work for the Kentucky wastewater system, and it just goes on. And we are working, maintenance department is working hard to keep the buildings clean and safe by providing personal protective equipment to staff, providing disinfectants, providing additional cleaning supplies, working with the custodial staff to ensure the proper cleaning of the buildings, and scheduling with the building level principals of when to use their custodians the safest way possible while maintaining social distancing. So we are looking forward to having everyone back in the buildings and getting them in the best shape that we can. So those are some of the things that operations has done. Any questions?
Is it Zoom? Was that one of the meetings?
Yes, so that's one.
I was asked this week if I could go back to that. They thought that the bugs had been fixed, that maybe that wasn't having the same. Do you know if that's been secure with?
The last I heard is Google Meeting is still the most secure way. Okay, because that's locked into our domain.
And I'm okay with that. I just was asked the question, could they go back to, apparently it's easier to use.
It may be, but they both work approximately the same. So
I know there
our
was issues
recommendation,
before.
right, our recommendation still stands that.
I'm good with that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Make a comment, that while you were coming up, I also see a lot in here that parents have a much greater appreciation for teachers now than they did a couple months ago. And I am surprised at what I see and hear from students, the contacts that our staff is making to them, the effort they're putting out to make sure they are in contact and have some kind of contact with students, let them know that they're listening.
Good evening. Just a few updates from the support services department. Of course, I will open with health services. They've had a front row seat of this,
Speak up just a tad.
even long before we closed on the 13th. So one thing, of course, the nurse coordinators were very instrumental in putting together was our initial response to the COVID crisis. Since the closing, of course, they've continued to monitor the situation near daily. At times, it seemed like every 5 minutes we were back at the table revisiting things. That was, of course, between the department, Virginia Department of Health, and the VDOE, and of course, the superintendent as well. They've also continued to manage their ongoing duties, as well as assist the school nurses as needed with closing out their clinics towards the end of the school year. Most recently, we spent several days developing the re-entry protocol that Mr. Mayhew had referenced, and all the associated training that came with that. That was, of course, for the school nurses who are at the helm of that in their buildings, and the administrators and administrator designated as well. Through the lens of special education, as a result of closing, all IEPs and 504s were moved to consultative status. We've continued, however, under IDEA regulations, which certainly was not set up for a pandemic, to continue all eligibility and IEP meetings in full force, and we've had to manage that as creatively as possible. Kudos to our teachers and our administrators, our special education coordinators for managing that process from afar. Has been truly unprecedented to do something like that. As part of that, we have continued to, we developed first and then continue to monitor all of the teacher logs, special education teacher logs, and related service personnel logs, as those logs in particular back up to FAPE. So our FAPE requirements are being documented via that process. I personally have also had weekly meetings with all of our special education coordinators, related service personnel, whether it's speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, school psychologists, and outside contractors, as well as all of our CSA providers, to ensure that we continue those services in full. Our home and school coordinators and homebound services, they've been working really in concert with the instructional team to make sure that we find and encourage all those students that we can get past the goal line, that we do get them graduating. So they have been working with them in full force to do that. We've also continued our work with the Family Assessment Planning Team, the FAT team. We continue to meet in that capacity as well. I thought it might be good to provide some information regarding looking ahead. I kind of joke that it's like throwing darts on a dartboard. Mr. Doss asked what this is going to look like, and of course nobody knows. So we're planning for basically everything and anything. So some things that we're doing right now, we are working again with the instructional department in creating modules for students with disabilities, even those that may have more significant disabilities and what that might look like. We have formulated a team to work through a kindergarten to 12th grade process to ensure access there for those students. We are also in the process of piloting some teletherapy, which will be new for us. Some of our private day partners have already moved to this platform, some surrounding divisions as well. And so with our ESY students, a handful of students that normally would receive services over the summer, we're going to be piloting that so we can work the kinks out in anticipation of providing that potentially at the beginning of the school year. Of course, all IEPs are under compliance review right now. Typically, y'all know we write our IEPs on a school year. So we would have had those in the house already, but because we don't, we're going to be reviewing those all hands on deck to get that done over the summer. We are moving forward with professional development opportunities for select teaching groups. Preschool is one in particular that we've been spending a lot of time with as a result of some of those, our IPOP grant and our grants through our TTAC partners. So we're excited to be doing some of that online for them as well. And finally, as Dr. Jones had mentioned, with some of the integration and streamlining of our programs that are offered via home and school, we fully anticipate an uptick in that this year. And so my department will be spending a lot of time on streamlining that and moving 2 to 3 of those venues through the lens of a new vendor called Edgenuity that Dr. Jones mentioned already. So those are some of our big moving parts in my department, and happy to answer questions if you have any.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for all your support.
Any questions on the district reports? Superintendent, down your report.
Yes, sir. Ms. Burton, I appreciate the excellent job that the assistant superintendents have done over the past couple of months. They're an outstanding group, and they're forward thinkers, and they've really gotten us through this process in a manner to utilize staff well, to take it, even though it is tough circumstances, to take advantage or utilize the time that we have to prepare us for what may come down the pipe for us. Look at what Ms. Petty mentioned as far as instructional units. We're preparing for next year. Dr. Early is looking ahead. What does this mean for us? Does this launch us into some type of one-to-one initiative, able to access, ability to access parents and families and students in their homes? So we're looking at that too. Looking at staff now, how Mr. Mayhew is how to best utilize staff and still maintain a really tight budget year for next year. And then Mrs. Haymore looking at all that we have to do with special education. They've really worked very hard in keeping communication lines open with the schools and with teachers during this time and with families. So I appreciate their good work. I just have a few things that I'd like to share with you all this evening. The first is in your packet is a letter. We've sent out many different letters to families this year. the one dated April 23rd, explains to parents about the academic requirements for their children through the remainder of the school year, and the point that grades were finalized March the 13th, but that it's so important that students continue that work through the remainder of the year so that they're prepared for next year. And also letting people, the students know who were failing grades, had failing grades as of March 13th, that they could do the work to pull the grades up. That was the guidance that was provided by the State Department. We followed that guidance. It's mainly based upon equity. There's an equity lens that we have to be sure that we look through this process using, because not everyone in our county has access to the curriculum based because of internet access that we mentioned earlier, or just access to getting this to the schools with parents to pick up the items. So we have to be sure that we're equitable, we treat them equitably. And so that's the lens, that's how this letter is crafted here. If you have any questions regarding that letter? Okay. The next item I have, the State Department of Education has formed a return to school advisory committee. And in that, the committee has put together guidance for policymakers as they look at possible when we return to school. And this committee looked at 3 different scenarios. The first scenario was, Mr. Dawes, if we can come back this summer. And if you look at that, they looked at 2 different ways to come back this summer. Can we come back face to face with children in our buildings? Or do we have to come back providing virtual options, as Mrs. Petty mentioned? Maybe we have to do something virtually this summer. The second phase or second timeline is, can we begin at the beginning of the school year? Normally, our date is August the 9th. Can we begin on August the 9th and what that would look like? And they looked at 3 different timelines for that. Can we look at students coming back into our buildings face to face or face to face instruction? Do we open with some type of limited face to face where possibly half our students come on one day, half come on the next day, maybe some virtual opportunities in that? Or do we have to remain closed, provide virtual opportunities for students, but then come back at some predetermined or undetermined time after that? And then the last timeline was, if we can't begin at the beginning of the school year and we have to look at maybe an October opening, what does that look like? So Dr. Lane gave us that charge, the committee that charge, and we provided just all the different key things to think about in these 3 different scenarios so that they would have some good information so when they make decisions, they know what we're facing. Any questions regarding that? Next item I have, I'd like to recognize our Teachers of the Year. I'd like to do that. It's somewhat unusual how we're doing this, but I'd like to be sure that people know our Teachers of the Year. So I'd like to read those people out to you, our teachers out to you. Brosville Elementary School was Mrs. Kathy Oswald. Pittsylvania Career and Technical Center was Mr. Joshua McKinney. Chatham Elementary School was Mrs. Tina Cole. Chatham Middle School, Mrs. Kelsey Robertson. Chatham High School, Mrs. Melanie Wade. Den River Middle School, Mrs. Mandy Riley. Den River High School, Mr. Raleigh James. Gretna Elementary School, Mrs. Natalie Angel. Gretna Middle School, Mrs. Rochelle Cothran. Gretna High School, Mrs. Kristen Kazee. Hurt Elementary School, Mrs. Lindsay Wyatt. Kentuck Elementary School, Mr. Martin Smith. Mount Airy Elementary School, Mrs. Lauren Dudley. Southside Elementary School, Mrs. Sonia Sawyers. Stony Mill Elementary School, Mrs. Elizabeth Piercy. Tunstall Middle School, Mrs. Crystal Nimick. Tunstall High School, Mrs. Sandy Rossman. Twin Springs Elementary School, Mr. Frank Wilkerson. Union Hall Elementary School, Mrs. Nancy Shoemate. The Regional Alternative School, STEM Academy, Mrs. Dixie Poindexter. And Victory Academy, Mrs. Karen Butler. we are very fortunate, as we have mentioned many times, to have such a dedicated and quality staff. These have risen to the top this year, and I just wish that we had another way to recognize them, but given the conditions, this is what we have. But these are just well-deserving candidates that I present to you this evening, Mr. Burton and school board members.
Maybe a fall.
Yes.
Also, in my information were a couple of letters of appreciation. I normally don't do that, but I just thought I'd share the good news. People are appreciative of what our staff are doing, our teachers and staff are doing. So I thought you would want to see that. Also, we've had two schools, two of our high schools have risen to the top. They're in the top 100 in the WISE financial literacy competition, and that is Den River High School at 98 and Tunstall High School at 39. High school graduation, you all last month approved high school graduation on July the 17th and 18th at Ava Convocation Center. Based upon the information that we're receiving from the state, our high school principals are putting contingency plans in place if we cannot have a traditional face-to-face type of graduation. And they're doing that right now, so we'll have that for you all. They're making those plans for your June meeting. We'll let you all know that. Also, as you're aware, the VHSL has canceled spring sports. Right now, we don't know what the fall may bring to us as far as sports, but we'll let you all know that as soon as we learn that from the VHSL. And I think, Mr. Burton, that's all I have this evening for my reports. Other than the conferences, the SBA conferences are there for you all and how they're handling those for the remaining of the year. Any questions for me this evening?
And I probably should have asked Dr. Artie this, and he probably doesn't know the answer. CTE hours for like the cosmetologists and those EMTs, those that have classes that needed clock hours. Did the state ever decide what to do about that for those students?
They have. The nursing, they worked through the nursing. We were okay with the nursing students. The caught me cold, but I need to make this.
If you don't know the answer, that's okay. I just know there was an issue with clock hours.
I think we're fine, but let me get back with you on that. Yes, sir.
It just came to me while you were talking. It dawned on me that several of those classes require a certain amount of hours to get certification.
I'll get that to you.
Anything else, Emma? Thanks, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you.
I see we have no unfinished business, go to new business.
We need a motion to do this. July disciplinary committee, Mr. Burton.
Yes.
Calvin Dawes, I make a motion that we do the July disciplinary committee meeting on June the 15th, and I'm assuming at 6 o'clock. Make that a motion.
Stand process.
Roll call.
Mr. Burton?
Aye.
Ms. Crop?
Aye.
Mr. Dawes?
Aye.
Mr. Henderson?
Aye.
Mr. Moon?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
And Mr. Mills is out.
And need a motion for minority advisory council membership.
Stand process, make the motion to accept an audit advisory council membership.
Calvin Dawes, a second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Burton?
Aye.
Ms. Crop? Mr. Dawes?
Aye.
Mr. Henderson?
Aye.
Mr. Moon?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Mills is out.
Mr. Henderson, you're chair of the building committee. Would you have a motion you want to recommend to us? Name of the building.
Stony Mill Elementary School has sent us a request to, their desire and their wishes are to change the, or actually to rename or name the gym at Stony Mill in honor of Catherine Blair, who was a longtime teacher and gym teacher and phys ed teacher there. I understand for 30 plus years, and she's met some criteria that far exceeds what we have as criteria, and I think she's more than worthy to be the recipient if we agree to name the gym in her honor, Miss Catherine Blair at Stony Mill Elementary School.
And she's retiring.
That's correct.
Made the motion, do we get a second?
I'll second the motion, Don moved.
Roll call,
Mr. Burton,
abstain.
Ms. Crop,
No,
Mr. Giles.
Aye.
Mr. Henderson,
Aye.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Thank you. Need a motion for a new roof on Stony Mill. Procure, we have a bid.
I'll make a motion, we accept the low bid, and I, to be honest, I don't remember what the name of the company was. If I can find it. AAR of North Carolina.
Had a motion, we get a second.
Brandon Rams, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Burton.
Aye.
Ms. Crop,
aye.
Mr. Giles.
Aye.
Mr. Henderson.
Aye.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
Mr. Mills is absent.
Thank you, and now we need a amended budget. We need a motion for amended budget. You want to hear from Ms. Worthing before we make that motion? Or motion? Okay. These ones I want to vote on.
So I have a little bit of budget information to share with you tonight. There will still be more information forthcoming. But I do need for you to approve some recommendations that we're gonna make to you tonight so that we can start to move forward with contracts and actually putting a budget number together. We already have an approved budget, so we're fine to start work. We obviously will not meet that budget as long as we're under that budget. We don't have any problems. And we know you'll hear tonight that will definitely happen. Last Thursday, we received our entitlements from General Assembly and Governor. We have a new term for the upcoming year, and it is called unallotted. So a majority of the new revenues that we had hoped to receive July 1, they're still on the table. If our economy picks up, they will go back and look at that, and they will allot those monies back to school divisions. So at this point, that's our hope and dream for the future. For right now, what we're looking at is about a $1.6 million decrease from the original General Assembly budget that I look back tonight was passed, or we got that information on March the 13th. And at 2:30 that afternoon, they closed schools for 2 weeks, and then it's just escalated since then. And what that actually means for our bottom line, we had about $3.3 million of new money to work with for next year. 2.8 of that was coming from the state. With our new state money, then there's always designated state expenditures. The VRS rates are going up. None of that's changing. All of that is still on the table. It's just that our revenues are coming in less. So now what we have is about $1.7 million to work with. I have been in contact with the county. So for right now, we're still expecting the additional $500,000 from them, and we're gonna have about $1.2 million from the state. If you remember, we needed about $3.3 million. $1.2 million was to finish the comp study as of June 30, 18, and the other $2 million was to give the year of service step for 19 and for 20. At the end of the day, when we're looking at this possible $1.2 million from the state, that does not include an imminent loss in sales tax or in lottery. We have no estimates, no information at all from the state. We do know that lottery was down 28% in the month of March, which was much more than they were expecting. We will find out on Friday, and for the state, we'll find out what the lottery money looks like on Friday for the month of April. We're not anticipating any lottery losses right now in this year as of June 30. I mean, it could happen, but we're not really anticipating that. But we definitely know there will be losses next year. And we are obviously anticipating sales tax loss in this this fiscal year as well. Right now, we're estimating about $1 million loss for May and June. So that's about 10% for the year for loss in sales tax. So what we are proposing is that as of July 1, we do not designate any of these additional funds right now. We put those into contingency until we can better estimate our lottery and sales tax revenues. So what that means is we're recommending that salaries be frozen as of July 1. So it would be whatever, they are today. That's the contracts that we will be putting out if you approve this tonight, for July 1. We do know that we are going to receive some federal stimulus money. The application has come out for that. And we have some webinars next week, and then I'll be doing the application for those funds. We are looking at about $1.9 million. But it's our understanding that some of that money will go to private schools in our area as well. That's not all gonna possibly be Pittsylvania County money. So we're also suggesting right now, or recommending, that money also be placed in the contingency. Because, we could easily lose $3 million in revenue next year in lottery and sales tax. So we're gonna have to have this money just to backfill regular operating expenditures. We will be monitoring the economy, we'll be monitoring the sales tax. I've checked 3 times today to see what we're gonna be receiving in, this month, because we'll get our first deposit on Friday. That would be from March. So, March was kind of a 50-50 month. So once I see what we might bring in May, I can better estimate for July. July will be from April, which is a month that was totally closed. We're hoping at that point we can make some type of an adjustment or, an analysis for what we're looking at for July, August. We do want you to know that we are very hopeful that things will turn around, and we want to come back to you. We would like to do some mid-year budget adjustments. If the money is there and we have money, to do the first phase of compensation study, we will bring that back to the table, and make those changes when we know for sure that we have the revenue to do so. So that's really what I need from you tonight, is just a motion to allow us to move forward with these 2 recommendations.
We're gonna have that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended budget to move forward as presented by Ms. Warren.
So, any questions of Ms. Warren? Just yes or no, do we have any indication when they will look at this unallocated fund?
Are they reconvening in August for the first time? So, but all of that is going to depend, of course, on the economy and when things, pick back up, and if they pick back up. As they're anticipating.
August and September.
Exactly. So, we've got to start the year, of course, the CARES Act funding, they want us to use that for technology. That is the number one, but you can obviously use it for operating. And we would certainly have to do that if we have, a significant loss,
Anybody have a question?
I think it'd be safe to say we'll probably be December, January, knowing when we started school, where we at.
with funding.
We're probably not gonna really know anything till the first of the year of next year, right?
That is our thoughts right now, is that if we can do something at all, that it would be January.
What might that look like? In terms of, would we be moving forward, would we be going back to try to get people where they need to be?
I think what you're saying, what money, what they decide, if we, how much money we can get, they will have.
The number one thing that will have to happen is the money that we know we have on the table right now, we need to know for sure that we have that money. Okay, so that's gonna depend on sales tax and lottery. Once we get a handle on that, if we know we truly have this $1.7 million, okay, that we're not losing that to sales tax, and to lottery, then we can move forward with the recommendation. We know that the June 30, 2018 compensation study is about 1.2 million. So we can use that money then. The only other thing that did go through, effective May 1st, 2021, is the minimum wage. But that will cost us about $54,000 for May and June. So that is an additional expense for us.
All right, we had a motion on the floor, second, and any other questions? All in favor, you roll call.
Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Crowe, Mr. Dawes,
Aye.
Mr. Henderson.
Aye.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
Mr. Mills is absent.
Thank you, Ms. Morrow. And can we get a motion to approve the changes to new policies and waive the second reading?
I'll make that motion.
And Crowe,
Motion made, second discussion. And for those wondering that not familiar with this, this is mainly due to changes that in the law that the general assembly, we do it every year with a bunch of them. And sometimes it's just changing one word, but you have to abide by law. Roll call, please.
Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Crowe, Mr. Dawes,
Aye.
Mr. Henderson.
Aye.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
Mr. Mills is absent.
And one other item I ask you is to allow the superintendent to make some adjustments on the primary day, business hours on June 30th. We'll get that in motion. June 23rd.
I'll make that one. John,
Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Crowe, Mr. Dawes,
Aye.
Mr. Henderson.
Aye.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
Mr. Mills is absent.
Anything else? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Now, Mr. Burton, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second our motion to adjourn.
Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Crowe, Mr. Dawes,
Aye.
Mr. Henderson.
Aye.
Mr. Moon,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
Mr. Mills is absent.
If you want that, say good evening and have a be safe.
Mr. Williams.